Good afternoon. My name is Chengjing. I come from Dongming University. My professor is Kang Yoonhee. My paper's title is The Impact of the CFO-CEO Power Gap on Information Disclosure Quality, Evidence from China. The content includes the following 6 aspects. 1. Introduction. Based on the upper-echelon theory, a large body of literature has empirically examined the impact of top management team on the firm's accounting-related outcomes, such as the financial reporting quality, debit financing, investment decision-making, and earnings management, and in particular, the impact of CEO and CFO. Several studies also have examined the impact of the Chairman-CEO Power Gap on investment efficiency and debit financing. However, few scholars have paid their attention to the impact of the power allocation between CFO and CEO on information disclosure quality of Chinese listed firms. Some studies have found that higher quality of information disclosure helps evaluate the principal agent problems to a certain extent, reduce information asymmetry and the cost of debit financing, promote the improvement of firms' innovation performance, and reduce the liquidity risk of stocks. This paper aims to describe the power allocation between CFO and CEO from the 4 dimensions of structure power, ownership power, export power, and prestige power, and then investigate the impact of the CFO-CEO power gap on information disclosure quality. 2. Literature review and hypothesis development. 2.1. Impact of CEO and CFO powers on information disclosure quality. CEOs are usually in charge of the strategies and the overall long-term performance of the firms. Compared with CEOs with less power, CEOs with more power can exert great control over other managers in top management team and influence financial reporting. Consistent with this notion, a great deal of literature has reached such a conclusion that a CEO with greater power leads to a decline in the quality of information disclosure. Baker et al. Found that the CEO power has a vital effect on earning management from the perspective of type and magnitude, which negatively affects information disclosure quality. We et al. Also point out that the CEO can directly influence the firm's information disclosure behavior, and they discover celebrity CEOs are more likely to hide the negative information about the firm. The brighter literature shows that the CFO has the ultimate responsibility as for the generations of accounting information. The CFO would take actions that comply with accounting laws and standards to avoid the mandatory position changes or legal litigation risks caused by information disclosure violations, thereby improving information disclosure quality. Zhang and Tan estimated the CFO power from 3 dimensions and found that CFO power leads to higher quality of information disclosure of listed companies. Gard also stated that CFO powers plays a supervisory role in earning management, which is conducive to the improvement of information disclosure quality. 2.2 Hypothesis development. In this paper, we believe that although the CFOs can be restricted by the excessive pressure from the CEOs, There are still some CFOs who can have the ability to be affected by the excessive pressure from the CEOs and ensure the legality and compliance of the information disclosure. We expect that a larger CFO-CEO Power Gap has a positive impact on information disclosure quality. This leads to the following hypothesis. A CFO-CEO Power Gap is positively associated with information disclosure quality. The larger the power gap is, the higher information disclosure quality will be. 3. Research design 3.1 Sample selection and data source. In this paper, we take Chinese A-share companies listed on Chengjing Stock Exchange from 2013 to 2020 as the research sample. After excluding samples with ST companies, ST star companies, seriously missing data, CEO serves at CFO concurrently and firms in the financial industry. Finally, we get 7,120 from year observations. To eliminate the influence of outliers, we will write on the continuous variables in their first and 19th percentiles. The listed companies' corporate governance and financial data are obtained from Chinese CSMAN database. 3.2 Definition of variables. Information disclosure quality. In this paper, we use the information disclosure evaluation results of Chinese listed companies reported by Shenzhen Stock Exchange to measure the quality of information disclosure of each company. The evaluation results are divided into 4 grades, A, B, C, and D, which indicates that the results are excellent, good, qualified, and unqualified, respectively. In our study, we make A, B, C, and D take the values 4, 3, 2, 1, respectively. The larger value means high quality of information disclosure. Next, CFO-CEO Power Gap. In its papers, we measure CFO-CEO Power Gap from 3 dimensions: structure power, ownership power, export power, and prestige power. Structured power is measured using salary comparison. This variable takes a value of 1 if the CFO's salary surpasses the CEO's, and 0 otherwise. Ownership power is measured using stock ownership. If the CFO has greater stock ownership than the CEO, this variable takes a value of 1 and 0 otherwise. Export power is measured using 2 variables, tenures and senior professional title. If the CFO has longer tenures than the CEO, this variable takes a value of 1 and 0 otherwise. If the CFO has more senior professional titles than CEO, this variable takes a value of 1 and 0 otherwise. Prestige power is measured using education. Education includes 5 levels: high school and below, and junior college, bachelor, master, and doctor. These 5 levels takes a value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, respectively. This variable takes a value of 1 if the CFO has a higher degree than the CEO, and 0 otherwise. For the benchmark analysis, we construct power by summing up the 5 dummy variables, which ranges from 0 to 5. For the robustness test, we construct a dummy variable power net which equals 1 if PowerGap is more than its mean value, and 0 otherwise. Control variables. In this paper, we utilize the following control variables: the nature of property rights, audit opinion, two posts in one, the number of top managers, company size, financial leverage, return on assets, operating income growth rate, shareholding ratio of the largest shareholder. We also add years and industry dummy variables to the model. 3.4 Mode setting. Drawing on the third method of the prior studies, we established the following ordered logistic regression model 1 to examine the impact of the CFO-CEO Power Gap on information disclosure quality. First, empirical results and analysis. 1.1 Descriptive statistics. Table 2 reports the results of the descriptive statistics. The mean value of information disclosure quality is 3.0458, showing that most of the sample firms' results of information disclosure evaluation are A and B, and the information disclosure quality is relatively high. The mean values on PowerGap is 1.9678, indicating that although the CFO-CEO Power Gap is relatively small, CFOs still have an advantage in two variables. It can be seen from table 2 that all variables in the model do not have serious extreme value problems. 1.2 Variable on correlation text. This paper calculates the Pearson correlation coefficients between the mean variables, as shown in table 3. PowerGap has positive association with information disclosure quality at the 1% level, with the correlation coefficient being 0.0579, thereby providing preliminary support for our hypothesis. In addition, the Pearson correlations reported are less than 0.5, indicating that the ordered logistic regression model 1 does not have a serious multi-collinearity problem. And table 3 reports the Pearson correlation coefficient between mean variables. 4.3 The CFO-CEO Power Gap and the information disclosure quality. Table 4 presents the regression results on the relationship between CFO-CEO Power Gap and the information disclosure quality. In the first column, we introduce the main and our key independent variable power and the years and the industry fixed effects in the ordered logistic regression model 1. The coefficient of PowerGap is 0.1271 with a z-statistic of 5.26, statistically significant at the 1% level. In column 2, we introduce the four set of control variables into the ordered logistic regression model 1. The coefficient of PowerGap is 0.1052 with the statistic being 4.1, statistically significant at the 1% level. The regression results as present in table 4 support a positive association between CFO-CEO Power Gap and the information disclosure quality. This suggests that large CFO-CEO Power Gap has a significant positive impact on information disclosure quality, and the hypothesis is verified. On 4.4, robustness checks. 1. A lag period for independent variable. The CFO-CEO Power Gap may have a causal relationship with information disclosure quality and leading to heterogeneous problems. Thus, we use a lag period for the independent and control variables. The results as present in Table 5 suppose a positive association between the CFO-CEO Power Gap and the information disclosure quality, consistent with the conclusions in Table 4. 2. On propensity score matching. In this section, we use PSM method to further solve the indigeneity problem caused by selective bias. The PSM treatment group includes companies which have a larger CFO-CEO power gap, while the control group includes similar companies with lower CFO-CEO power gap. In this part, we use FoCoS.IDIC to measure the CFO-CEO power gap. As the FoCoS.IDIC taking the value of 1 means larger power gap between CFO and CEO. After matching, we find close matches for 2,616 observations and get 5,232 observations. Finally, we run the ordered logistic regression model 1 in the new samples. The regression results presented in Table 5 are consistent with the research conclusions reported in Table 4. Taken together, all findings are robust to the PSM method. Table 5 represents the regression results of lag periods for independent variable and PSM. 3. Alternative measure of information disclosure quality. We introduced a dummy variable MIDQ, which takes a value of 1 if the evaluation results are assessed as A and B, and it takes a value of 0 if it is assessed as C and D. MIDQ is a proxy variable for information disclosure quality, and the independent and control variables are named as above. We built the following binary logistic regression model. The regression results are presented in Table 6, show that the proxy for the CFO-CEO power gap has a positive relationship with information disclosure quality, with a coefficient of 0.14463 and z statistics of 3.56, significant at the 1% level. The empirical results are consistent with above-mentioned results. For changing the regression method, the regression for model 1's above is used the ordered loaded model. In this section, we employ the ordered probability model to test its robustness. After doing so, the empirical test is conducted again on the research hypothesis. Table 6 reports the regression results and showing that there is a positive relationship between the FoCO power gap and the information disclosure quality. This confirms the conclusions reported in Table 4 and suggests that the research conclusions of this paper cannot be affected by the regression model. Table 6 presents the regression results of alternative measure and changing the regression method. 5. Additional analysis. 1.1 CFO serving as the board secretary. We further examine the moderating effect of CFO serving concurrently as the board secretary on the relationship between the CFO-CEO power gap and the information disclosure quality. In this section, we employ a dummy variable CFO bias as a proxy for CFO serving concurrently as the board secretary. When CFO serves concurrently as the board secretary, CFO bias takes a value of 1 and 0 otherwise. We divide the sample into two subsamples and we estimate the ordered logistic regression model 1 using the two subsamples. The regression results are shown in Table 7, and Table 8 reports the results of the twist test. The empirical results reported in Table 7 show that the CFO-CEO Power Gap has a positive association with information disclosed quality at the 1% significant level in both groups, with the coefficient being 0.2469 and 0.0781 respectively. The difference in coefficients between groups reported in Table 8 is significant at the levels of 5%. Taken together, these results suggest that CFO serving currently as the board secretary has a positive moderating effect on the relationship between the CFO-CEO power gap and information disclosure quality. That is, when CFO serves concurrently as the board secretary, the CFO-CEO power gap has a more pronounced positive impact on information disclosure quality. 5.2 CFO financial background. We further examine the moderating effect of CFO financial background on the relationship between the CFO power gap and information disclosure quality. In this section, CFO financial background refers to CFO's work experience in financial institutions. We introduce a dummy variable, CFO-FB, as a proxy for CFO financial background. When the CFO has financial background, CFO-FB takes a value of 1 and 0 otherwise. We divide all observations into two groups and then we estimate the ordered logistic regression model 1. The regression results are shown in Table 9 and Table 10 reports the results of the twist text. It can be seen from Table 9 that the CFO-CEO power gap has a positive association with information disclosure quality in both groups at the 1% level, with the coefficient of 0.2822 and 0.0785 respectively. The difference in coefficients between groups reported in Table 10 is significant at the levels of 5%. Taken together, these results suggest that CFO financial background has a positive moderating effect on the relationship between the CFO-CEO power gap and the information disclosure quality. That is, when CFO has financial background, the CFO-CEO power gap has a more pronounced positive impact on information disclosure quality. 6. Conclusions. The empirical results show that the CFO-CEO power gap can improve information disclosure quality. That is, when the power gap is larger, the quality of information disclosure is higher. The CFO-CEO power gap has a more pronounced impact on information disclosure quality in firms whose CFO serves as the board secretary concurrently, and firms whose CFO has financial background. All findings hold after a series of robustness checks. This study focuses on the CFO-CEO power gap and enrich the literature on the executive powers and corporate decisions. In addition, the research conclusions in this paper also provides evidence that the CFO-CEO Power Gap is an important factor in improving the quality of information disclosure. This adds to the literature's on influencing factors about information disclosure quality. Thank you for listening.